Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I wanted to show you this Halloween themed vase of flowers, or a bouquet of flowers that I made for Halloween. This is my last Halloween video. I just thought I'd share a lot of little ideas for inspiration rather than instruction. I don't really have a whole lot of new tips here, but it's always better to be creative and try new things than not, I think. And so here I have this vase of flowers that I made. It's not very big, and I wanted to put this on my mantle in my living room. And so it was fairly easy. It's just a lot of little flowers, and I'm going to show you how I put it together. Nothing revolutionary here, but there are some tips I hope that you can glean from this. And let's get started. So to start, this is actually a Halloween or fall themed pumpkin that I got from Joann's. And you can fill it with flowers, real flowers, or even pine cones, or any flower that you want, silk flowers. And so I just thought, because I make paper flowers, I'm going to put paper flowers in it. And it's fairly small. You can see here's my hand for reference. And I purchased this for, I believe, $10, so it was very inexpensive, I think. And I thought that I can use it for Halloween, and I can also use it for fall if I wanted. And what I wanted to do was add sort of a sentiment here. So I wanted to add boo to one side here, and then if I decide that I wanted to use it for something else, I can always turn it around and maybe add, happy fall, or whatever sentiment I wanted to use, or something Halloween themed. So I just think that with pumpkins, you can do different things to it so that you can still use it for either two occasions, or you can change the sayings in it. So what I did was I wanted to fill this vase with a sort of the foam, the craft foam inside, and then just stick flowers in it. So I'm going to go through that process, but first I'll show you the decal that I made. I'm going to grab it. So this is the decal that I made. It just says boo. And I like it to go here on the pumpkin. Okay, so with this sentiment here, I just cut it out of Oracle 651. I just got it at Michael's, and I used my silhouette to cut it out. The font here is called Chopin, so Chopin script, like the composer. So I don't really do a lot with vinyl. I've made t-shirts and stuff like that, but it's not something that I do a lot of, so I don't have transfer paper. But what I have instead is just contact paper, and this, I'm chuckling because these are leftovers for when I actually put contact paper in our cabinets when we moved in. So I just find that this is great because I don't use a lot of it. And this is something that I can help use up. So I saved all these scraps, and this just works perfect. So all I do is just take that contact paper and peel away the backing. And just stick it right here so that it picks up the boo, and then I'm just going to take my bone folder and sort of press that on. If you have a Cricut, you probably have seen a lot of these different projects. It's a really big thing now, and I think it's great because women can make their own little business. And I didn't mean to say little as in condescending, but that you can create your own business at home and support your family with such a great machine. So I'm just cutting around because I don't need all of this excess. I feel like it just gets in my way, so this is just trash. And I'm going to peel this back, and hopefully it sticks. It should stick. What I want to be able to do is peel this backing away and just have the boo left over. Okay, and then I just take my pumpkin and place it right where I want it to be, about right in the middle. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then all I need to do is just press. So it's easier with smaller projects. If you have a bigger pumpkin, this is going to be a little more difficult. And it's better if you kind of start from one side and go to the next. Because this is not a flat surface, it can be a little difficult to get it perfectly on. So I just try my best. And then I just take that bone folder again and sort of press it into the pumpkin so that when I just peel away, it stays there. So it's not perfect because of the way there's this sort of swirl and the bee. I'm fine with it. I'm not that particular. And so it just says boo, and I think I just think that's cute. So I like the font. I wanted something more whimsical rather than the traditional Halloween fonts. So I think this is more whimsical. It depends on what your definition of whimsical is, right? So now that that's done, what I wanted to do was I wanted that craft foam in there. And what I used was this floral foam that I purchased from the dollar store. So I'm going to show a lot of different things that I get from the dollar store because I find it's affordable and stuff that you can use to make something very nice. And so I just take 2 pieces. So in one pack they come with 4 pieces, which you could save that for something else if you like. What I want to do is I want to add just a little bit of glue and then glue 2 pieces together. They do sell one that's a block and you can just cut it, but I just thought this would be easier. This foam does sort of leave a little residue on your hand, so I wanted to avoid that. So I pinch it together, and then if you want to, you can just put it in without gluing it down, and then it'll just stay right there. Or you can just, you can slip it in or you can add glue, whatever you like. So I'm gonna glue mine inside and then place it in, just like that. Press down and just let it dry, and the glue to stick, and there. So it doesn't jiggle, especially if you move it. So if you didn't glue it, there is a slight jiggle. It's not really that big of a deal because it's not something that you move around a lot. Basically, you'll put the flowers in there and it kind of sits there until you move it. So you don't have to glue it, but I just did for mine. Okay, so the next thing is to make the flowers. So I have 2 flowers that I wanted to make. These are very easy, and these are flowers that I've shown on my channel before, and so there's nothing new. I'm just going to put them together really quickly. I'm kind of going for the overall look rather than sort of a tutorial. But I will describe what I used, and this is my extra small rose. It's made similar to my regular rose, however it's much smaller. I don't really recommend this as a template because it can be a little bit difficult to reuse, especially because they're smaller pieces, but it is something that I use a lot when I have a cutting machine. So if you have a cutting machine, this is more of something I recommend. It's not easy to cut these out, these small little pieces, when you don't have a machine, and it just becomes a little bit of a hassle. So I will go through the sizes. So this flower here is my rose, and this is what it looks like when it's finished. I have it on some floral wire. Blacks are kind of hard to see. I hope that shows up. But basically I just put it on floral wire and then just stick it on there. So that's like my first flower there. And so this size here is 4 inches roughly. 4 inches wide, so it's 4 by 4. And then this petal, I believe, is 2 1/4 inches wide. If you see my rose video, I actually add way more petals to this, and so this is something that I played around with, and I like the way that this flower looks. So there's 8, technically 8 centerpiece, the bud pieces, the smaller petals, and then only 8 of the medium-sized petals. So this is what the medium petal would look like. And then generally I have 12, and then I have 6 large petals on the outside of the rose. I didn't like the way that looked for a flower this size, so I wanted to keep it smaller, sort of like a rose that hasn't quite bloomed fully yet. So that was the look that I went for. So next I have this mini template 8, and I've used this for my Halloween banner. It's the same one. I just think that this makes a nice little compact flower very easily. So I have one that's 3 1/4 inches wide, 3 inches wide, 2.75 inches wide, 2.5 inches wide, and then 2 1/4 inch wide. And then I have a little circle that I use to cover the floral wire that I use later. So, and then I have a 1 1/4 inch wide center for this flower. And so I'll just make these really quickly, and with this I like to use that little small screwdriver that I have because it can get into the petals very nicely. And all I do is just make slight curls. So I make slight curls to all of the little petals here. So that's one layer, and then I do the next like this. And it does go really quickly. Again, I like to do a lot of flowers that I can make in batches. So for this vase, I did make a batch of them at once. And it's something you can do if you're watching a documentary or your favorite show. And so that's what I like about it, is that it's the type of person that I am. I like to do crafts while I'm doing something else. And so sometimes I like to do more than one thing. I don't like to just sort of sit and watch a show. Sometimes I'll knit and watch at the same time. Otherwise I get extremely bored with my hands. So generally I do a lot of crafts while I'm doing something else. And Halloween was really something that I thought that I could really try to push my creativity, which I don't really think that I pushed it. I think I try to go outside of my comfort zone a little bit, but it did challenge me, and it was hard at first to try to make a video. I haven't made videos in a while, and I guess I could just talk about it while I'm making these flowers. The way that my channel will be now is that I'd like to focus just on making videos and showing different projects rather than just making tutorial videos on flowers that I would also be selling a template for. It felt at some point that it was just videos so that I can sell templates, and that really sort of harmed my motivation in wanting to make those videos. I didn't want to feel like I was only making these videos and only being helpful because I wanted money, essentially, because I wanted templates sold. And sometimes when you make things, when you just love doing it, if you make it a job, it can make it difficult to approach it the same way that you once had. So with that, I wanted to just instead make videos of things that people can make as well. If you see my videos and you're inspired to make something similar, or you have an idea from just watching the video, something completely different, it doesn't have to be the same, that you can just watch it and then inspire yourself to make something. And I don't want them to be so focused on tutorial videos as much anymore. And I've wanted to show maybe some more home decor sort of things that you can do. And there's a lot of seasons throughout the year, or seasons and holidays throughout the year, and so these can all be ideas as well. So that's sort of the approach with my channel now that I'd like to do. And with that, I'm so excited to be back, and I've gotten so many wonderful messages from such beautiful people that I've met and that have followed me. So that has really helped. I've gotten some really supportive messages. All I do is I take the bone folder and I curl this center up, and then just add a dot of glue, and then that's the flower there. And then I just take a piece of 18 gauge wire, and then I cut this in thirds. So I just take a wire cutter and I cut this in thirds. It's about 6 inches each piece, and then I just take it like this and I bend it, sort of just create a little loop on top. Not sure if that'll show up. So sort of a little loop, and then I just poke it through the little circle that I created here, and then I slide it up, and then I just add glue here, and then stick it on the bottom. So you can add leaves and greenery if you want. I just thought it's Halloween, I'll leave the greenery out. And once that's dry, which will be pretty quick, then you have your flower, and then you can just add it to your vase. Now with the rose, it's sort of similar to my other rose videos. I did make one that was sort of an ornament with a rose inside, so that one is sort of the same, but I will go through just making this. So I just curl the petals as normal. This one makes up very quick once you have everything curled, and then you just get going in making them. So I was on a roll when I made these, which was great. This is more of a chatty video than I thought it would be originally. Sorry if you don't like those types of videos. Generally I fast forward or add music. And that was one of the things in my videos. A lot of people would say you talk too much, and then some people would say you explain things really well. So I'm gonna hit right in the middle, and I'm just gonna talk. And if you don't like listening to people talk, I guess there's always the option to fast forward, which is great, because I don't always want to hear people talk as well. So with this, you just take 2 ends here and just overlap them, and then just add a little bit of glue. The trick with hot glue is that sometimes you want just the tiniest bit of glue and you get so much glue. So that can be a problem. And with these little roses, it's so easy to almost burn yourself or actually burn yourself. So I would just say take it slow. My husband asked, what does paper flowers have to do with Halloween? And I just said, anything that I want. So I think that's a response for a lot of the questions out there, at least related to crafts. You know, why did you make it that way? Well, because you wanted to. And black flowers just remind me of flowers that have passed its life, and so Halloween is perfect for that. Or these are perfect for Halloween, I should say. And you can see I'm just putting it together fairly quickly. It's kind of like my regular videos with the rose. So I think maybe I should, it's harder to see with black paper, I think, especially when it's this small. Okay, so what I will do now is just add these petals. And again, I'm using less than I would normally use. And that's because I just think it looks better that the rose doesn't look so full. Which is a little ironic, I think. I was saying earlier that the rose looks like it hasn't quite bloomed yet, and these are black flowers, but I didn't want them to look so full when they're sitting together in this vase sort of thing. So then I just add glue to the bottom, and then glue it to the bottom of the petal. And then all I do is just add a little bit of glue here on each side. And then I take my finger right here, and then my middle finger and my thumb, and I just sort of press that up and guide the petal towards the center. The thing with this is that you want to make sure that the glue is fully dry, and also that you're using a good quality glue so that it doesn't come apart. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to kind of go through this very quickly, and I'm going to fast forward the process because it will take a while. I think I'm using a batch of glue that's not so great at this moment. So I'm going to go through this process really quick, and we're going to make the flower. Okay, so this is a rose, and all I need to do is just add the back to it. So just take a piece of wire, create that loop again, and then poke it through a piece of circle paper, and just poke it through the paper. I just use a circle, and then I add glue, a generous amount of glue at least, and then I just stick it to the bottom. And so normally I have the circle in black, but I thought white would be easier to see. Okay, so now it's just time to arrange the flowers in the vase. Okay, so here's the vase, and I actually have way more roses than I do the white flowers. So these are all of them here, and I tried to grab them all at once, so it's like a mess in my hand. But here they all are, and I'm just going to leave them here and then start arranging. So I didn't want as many of these white flowers, and so I just thought that I would add in the roses first, like that, and then just sort of alternate the white roses, or the white flower. And you can play around with the height however you like. And then what I also do is I sort of bend the flower so that it sits better. I also change the height of the flower so that it's sort of a nice dome all across. And I really, really like that sound as these are going into the foam. I just enjoy it, I guess. So you can also go at an angle. It doesn't have to be straight down, obviously. Just add a flower here. So from here, I just start stuffing it if I can. If there's a space for me to add a flower, I will sort of just push the flowers around it to the side, they have some give in the way that it can go in, because these are sort of flexible. You can bend them like that very easily, so you won't harm them if you're doing that. And to get them to sit closer, I sort of just stick them from the side underneath the flowers. So if there's a gap big enough, I'll sort of stick a flower there. Okay, so it's not perfect, definitely not perfect, because I could feel like I could arrange this better, or it can be more evenly distributed. It's okay, I'm fine with it. I'm not too particular in that sense. Just sort of something to have on my mantle. And I just sort of press all around if I want more of a flat, even shape overall. That's what it looks like from the side, and because I glued the foam in there, it's not moving around. And you can bring these flowers down a little bit. So by doing that, like, I brought them down, I added more space. So here's a space for another flower in here. So you can also just add like greenery pieces if you want in between. It's funny because every time I shift one thing, I want to shift the other things. So here is what it sort of looks like. And I love that it has that little boo here. It almost doesn't make sense, but it works for me, I think. And so that's my sort of tip on this. And if you wanted to add something else, like I said, or like I mentioned in the beginning, you can always turn it around and just add another sentiment. Take out these flowers and add something else, or even just silk flowers if you got sick of paper flowers, and then you can still use it. I feel like I also can just peel this off too if I wanted to. It sticks just fine, but if I wanted to just sort of peel at it, I still could. So these are ways that you can decorate, but then it's not permanent. I didn't want to buy any pumpkins that had sayings on it already, and I just think that this is a way that you can switch up your decor and just make little changes to things that you already have and reuse it, which is great for the environment. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know if you have any questions below. Let me know if you made something similar, and thank you so much for watching. Bye.